In 2026, there are multiple dozens of business models out there: e-com, SaaS, coaching, info, which get promoted online as the best online businesses to start to gain success in the online money space. But they don't actually tell you what it costs to get them set up and keep them running. Today, I'll be giving you the best business online model out there for beginners starting from zero. That is the most beginner friendly, little to zero setup cost, recurring revenue that compounds over time, and easy to scale. That business model is the social media marketing agency, SMMA. In this business model, you leverage the use of social media to provide marketing services for businesses. And the beauty of this business model is you have a suite of services you can render to your clients, whether it be paid ads, social media account management, content and posting. It really depends on you. Now, you may be wondering, who am I to even speak about this? Well, my name is Isaac Timaturi, an online entrepreneur who has been in the SMMA game for past 2 years, running my own social media marketing agency, REM Media. So I guess it would be fair to say I have some skin in the game. Let's begin. Just take a look at the matrices with me of all the business models I've mentioned. Let's break this down properly because it's not about which business is trendy, it's about which one actually makes sense for someone starting from zero. Now, to really rank a business, you only really need five matrices to determine which is actually best for you: startup cost, time to first sale, profit margins, scalability, and one that is a non-negotiable for me: location freedom. If we take a look at e-com, startup cost, your startup cost is from $1,000 to $3,000 for inventory, ad testing, websites, and apps. Time to first sale, 2 to 6 weeks if your testing goes right. Profit margins, 10 to 20%. Really let that sink in. You are only getting 10 to 20% as profit from your business's revenue after ad spend, product cost, and platform fees eat into it. Scalability, expensive to scale. You need more cash tied up in inventory or ad spend every time you grow. Location freedom, yes, but suppliers and shipping issues will still pull you back. While in info, startup costs is from $500 to $10,000. But that number is misleading because the real cost is time. You are not selling a product, you are selling to an audience you do not have yet as a beginner. Time to first sale, 3 to 12 months. Most of that spent just building the audience. Profit margins, 70 to 90%. It's digital, so the overhead cost is close to nothing. Scalability, high once you have an audience that knows, likes, and trusts you, but you are capped by how many people are actually watching you. Location freedom, yes. Then we come to SaaS, startup cost, 5 to 50,000 plus, unless you code it yourself, in which case it is your time instead of your money being used. Time to first sale, 6 to 12 months of building, testing, and actual launching of the product. Profit margins, 60 to 80% after hosting and infrastructure payments. Scalability, the highest of any model here. Software scales with almost zero extra cost per client. Location freedom, yes. Coaching, startup cost $0 to $300. Charges from call software, maybe a website. Time to first sale, 2 to 6 months. Because nobody's paying you to coach them on something they have never seen you prove yet. Profit margins, 80 to 95%. You're selling your time and knowledge directly. Scalability, low to medium. You are capped by your own hours. Location freedom, yes. Now, SMMA, startup cost $0 to $100. You only need a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection. You probably already have. Time to first sale, 1 to 4 weeks. It really depends on how fast you can book and close a call. Profit margins, 80 to 90%. Higher if you're carrying out the service delivery yourself. Scalability, high. You can add clients without a proportional jump in cost. And every new client you add is extra profit, especially once you're outsourcing delivery. Location freedom, yes, fully remote. You only need your computer and the internet connection. It's actually mind boggling how easy this business model is. That's not hype, that's just math. That's why I picked it. Now, I already hear you, Isaac. This all sounds good, but I don't know how to start a business. Fair, neither did I. You don't need an LLC and a business plan on day one. You need one service, one niche, and one client. Anything else you learn along the way while still getting paid. Or you may be saying right now, I don't know how to get clients. This is the one that scares people the most. And I get it. But here's the truth. I sent over 200 outreach messages, cold called a couple hundred times before I ever booked my first real meeting. It's not glamorous, it's volume plus consistency. Nobody's getting handed clients on day one. Or you may be thinking, well, I don't know how to sell. Neither did I. And it cost me clients early on. The mistake I made was selling too much and not setting free in my meeting. Selling isn't convincing somebody, it's controlling the conversation, understanding their problem better than they do themselves, and getting commitments set before you hang up. Whether that be them sending invoice payments, the next Zoom meeting, or sending valuable information you need to set up operations for them. This is probably the biggest objection you have. I don't know how to deliver the service. Here is a shortcut. Use the contractual arbitrage playbook where you get someone else to carry out the service delivery for you and you pay them a little percentage of what you got paid. And that is why it is important to set higher prices. You will not have enough as turnover when you pay your contractors. And with this playbook, you do not have to ever worry about service delivery. You just need to focus on outreach and signing clients. The very truth is, every excuse you have right now, I had it too. The only difference between you at the sidelines and me running REM is I started before I felt ready. When starting as a beginner, you don't even need a name right away, nor a website or a logo. The most important thing you need to do, that every other thing you do builds off of that, is picking a niche. I really couldn't be bothered what niche you go for, so as it checks the three boxes. You know anything about that niche? That is your competitive advantage over those in the same market with you. Can you build systems around that niche that can be reused, which allow you to scale without having time constraints? And lastly, and most important, I can't overemphasize this, can your prospects afford your services? Once you have these three boxes checked, you have a scalable niche. Then you move on to having one specific offer, not a whole menu. Like I said, the beauty of SMMA is you can have a suite of branches you delve into. But for now, let's stick to paid advertising. Here, you basically create copy for the ads, set the ad spend based on what was agreed on your meetings, watch the data come in, and then take informed actions, whether it be scaling a specific ad creative or shutting down a specific ad creative. Simple as that. And you can have a flat monthly retainer for your clients. Then you move on to getting your first clients. You can use scripting tools like Apollo, but I'd rather suggest listings and directory platforms. These are websites built specifically for a niche to list the businesses in that niche in a given domain, where people interested in their services can go and find people that match what they are looking for. And funny enough, I've never had anybody saying this, and I had to find out the hard way. I was just randomly searching on Google, and then I found out they actually have posting sites for most of the niches you may have. So you can just go on Google right now and search, let me say for real estate, search real estate. There are platforms like Property Pro, NPC, etc., where you see people that sell homes. Or you can go to Google Maps and search on your specific niche. You will be able to see companies listed and their contact information. From there, we head into getting your first client. Outreach. There are mainly three ways to do outreach. You have cold calls, cold DMs, and cold emails. I'd suggest starting with cold calls because it's the easiest and fastest way to build a connection with your prospect. This method alone has got me multiple calls booked. Then when you get a call booked, make sure to remind them 12, 6, 3, and an hour to the meeting. This will significantly increase your show up rates because you can't assume they will remember, and then that leads to you losing a prospect. Now, on the call, you would want to firstly set meeting expectations. You want to understand their business and if you're fit to work together. You are not looking to work with everybody in your niche. You are looking to work with a select sub niches that can give you what you need. Then you would want to have opener questions. They can range from how their day went. Then from there, you can start like with me. Um, I can then transition into asking them to run me through how they get clients, their acquisition systems, and basically most of the times they only just property pro and wait for people to come inbound. And with these opener questions, you can see little cracks where you can find an opening and then sell them on that. Then you'd want to move from having opener questions to guiding them through how you plan to run the pay ads for them. Be specific and detailed. Make sure to always ask if they have a question. Then you come to the next phase, which is handling their objections, because they will always have one or two questions or one or two reasons why they would not want to close that same day. You would need to handle those objections effectively. If not, they will not buy. And now, when you have all the objections handled and they are sold on paid advertising or whatever service you do choose to go on with, you can then present your offer and name your price without a flinch. Another mistake I would want to point out is never leave the call without getting commitments locked in. Whether it be them paying invoices or setting a next meeting, never leave the call unless you get commitments locked in. Because once they get off that call, you are not getting them back. They are gone. Then the next and one of the most crucial steps in starting your SMMA journey is once you've got them signed, you would want to give them the best delivery. It's not just getting the clients, it is retaining them. And the only way you retain them is giving them good service delivery. Going back to what I said again, using contractual arbitrage, you don't need to worry about getting them the best results. You just need to find someone that is already specialized in what service you provide, and you can simply find these people on Facebook groups, Fiverr, Upwork. The leverage with this model is you only pay them when you get paid. As an agency, you get paid in the first day of the month, while you pay your contractors on the last day of the month. So basically, you've already gotten the money, you just give them a little piece of it and they are happy with it while you take home a bigger percentage. Then, once you get your clients' results, you want to get their testimonials because their testimonials is the key to getting bigger and larger clients because larger clients won't trust you with just I can. They will need cold hard proof. Now, if you've made it to this far, I'm proud of you. If you haven't subscribed, I suggest you do because in my next video, I show how I stopped bleeding clients, turning my lead losing Zoom calls into a client converting machine. And with that, I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.